Right, so I'm sitting here with Jonathan Mogotsi. Jonathan, tell us a bit, where do you come from? How did you get into racing? Tell us your story.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And I must tell you, my story is a little unconventional. So I come from a gaming background, okay? And I essentially started on PlayStation playing a game called Gran Turismo.
How old were you when you started?
Look, I grew up playing games, so for as long as I can remember. But the transition happened in 2012. So I had the opportunity to obviously try out the real thing, and I did so. And it turns
Wait,
out
the real thing what? Tell us. What's the real thing? Tell us.
Okay, so transition from PlayStation,
Yeah.
and they flew us over to England, Silverstone.
Right.
And
Who done that? Well, so you were playing now PlayStation.
Yeah.
And you were playing online.
Yeah.
And what did you win? What did
Okay,
you win
so
to
there was
be
a competition called the GT Academy, okay?
Right.
So how it works is that you post lap times on a given track, and they took the top 32, I think it was, around the country after thousands of entrants, and we competed locally up until the top 8. Now they flew the 8 of us to England, where we got to do the real thing. So it was a mixture of a little bit of karts, a little bit of real driving. We drove modified 370Zs, Nissan GTRs, a little bit of single seaters. We even drag raced electric cars. So it was a mixture of a lot of little things, you know. Unfortunately, I didn't win that competition, but you know, I came back to South Africa. I tried go-karting.
Where did you end up in the competition?
Second.
Second.
Yeah, second.
That's very good. Who won? Tell me.
It was Ashley Oldfield. He's a motoring journalist.
From where?
From Cape Town, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's still
really?
around. He's still around, yeah.
And is he racing as well?
He was racing for a few years. He actually did very well. And then I'm not exactly sure what happened, but he came back and he got back into the journalist scene. So
And you got back, and what happened to you when you got
I
back?
got back here. I thought, you know what? Let me try out some racing. So with the combination of bank loans and a few sponsors, I tried go-karting. And I did that for about 6 months before, obviously, you know, having dried up all the funds. But the following year, I had an opportunity with Volkswagen, where they released the Volkswagen Driving Academy.
And that was 2000 then?
That was 2015. 2015? Yeah, 2015.
Right.
Or 2016? No, 2015, 2016. I get my
Alright.
years muddled up. But, you know, I entered in this academy, and long story short, I ended up winning the academy, and that granted me a full seat in the Polo Cup.
Okay.
And I've been, this is going to be my 3rd year with them.
And in your first year, how did you do?
So in my first year of about 22, 24 competitors, I finished 9th by the end of the season. I had 1 win and Rookie of the Year. Following year, I finished 3rd overall, 2nd in class, and a couple of wins, and yeah, so I'm commencing my 3rd year now.
Okay. And right, so we chatted and we want to put you in a national hot rod. I've showed you a bit of footage. I don't think
It looks intense, man. It
Yeah.
looks really, really intense.
It's-
Like I wasn't necessarily expecting such a bunched up field, and it looks really competitive.
Yeah, everyone is very fast. Our last field was 44 cars that entered.
40 how much?
44.
On a short track.
Yes, on a 400-meter oval.
Okay.
And what I'm actually trying to do is, I'm trying to reintroduce our oval track. Everybody remembers or knows it as a hooligan sport where people are fighting, where there's a lot of aggro, and that's fallen away. We are so professional now that I want to bring in people from the long circuit so I can reintroduce it for people where they can start off racing as a cheap form.
Yeah.
You know, kids can, it's a very cheap form. There's a formula called the standard formula. It's a stock standard car.
Yeah.
And just to show people how professionally it's done these days, how awesome our tracks are, how big our fields are, how big the crowds is, no fights, none of that.
Yeah.
None of that. So with you being our South African black boy, that's whiter than me. I have to add that.
Oh, please, man. Okay.
Yes, you are.
You can have that one.
But yeah, I've been the first so-called colored in the hot rods, and I've been there for many years. And
How long have you been racing for?
since 1996.
Since 96.
Yeah, before 96 I couldn't get sponsors, I couldn't go to circuits and all that, so it was difficult for me. And I've found myself doing well in it, and I've actually now started the National Hot Rods Mzansi, the TV show for them. I was the COC for 2 years, so I've been very involved in them. And because it's so big, we decided to take it another level with TV. And now we want to bring in people from other forms of racing to show them this is the hardest form of racing that you can find. Do you believe me if I tell you that?
Well, I tell you what, I'm really excited to get stuck in, and I'm really grateful for you obviously having me on board, and I can't tell you the excitement that I have. And I really look forward to the tough, brutal competition that you say it is.
I tell you now, I'll take you a bet. After you've driven a race in the oval, and you go back to the circuit, you're going to be a better driver. I take you a bet.
I guarantee that. I mean, you've got to have experience in a lot of different fields, so I'm really excited to get
I found over the years, oval track drivers, when they go to the long circuit, they do very well.
Yeah.
Because the conditions you race on the oval, it's 400 meters, 30 cars, 200 plus horsepower. The hot rods is 300 plus. They're close to 400 horsepower now. 44 cars on a field. You're all close to each other, bunched up, next to you, behind you. It's like a nightmare you're in.
It's a recipe for I don't want to say disaster, but it's a recipe for some really interesting competition, I'd say. That's crazy. 40 cars on a 400 meter oval circuit. It's madness. It's unheard of for me personally.
We have got, however, some young boys that's doing very well. I reckon there's about 4 or 5. There's actually a 14-year-old that just stepped up. His sister's been racing for a long time.
Okay.
Her name is Lonica Martins.
Yeah.
She raced even a West Bank V8, and he's now 14 and he got in her car and he's flying.
Yes, the day.
So-
Starting them young, eh?
Yeah, but he's born into it.
Okay.
If you're born into the oval, it's not so hard.
Sure.
If you're not born into it,
Yeah.
it's going to be something to get into
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's going to be a historic moment for us as well, because we've never ever had in the National Hot Rod Series black South African to compete.
Yeah.
Because it's always been a white dominated sport.
Yeah.
But we're trying to open it up and show people that it's for everyone. As long as you can race, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, it's about bringing more and more people from different colors, different backgrounds. Whether you're white, black, Indian, colored, it doesn't matter in this game. There is no, what do they call it, quota systems or any of that. If you're good enough, you must be there.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. If
Yeah.
you're good enough, you must be there. So you're going to have to show us in this car that you're good enough.
You see now you're putting a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure now, man. There's a lot of pressure. But I tell you what, though, my modus operandi is obviously gonna keep this car out of the wall. That is gonna be my primary focus. And obviously, I'd like to bring home a good result if that's possible. So we'll see. With your guidance, obviously, and your team.
I think you're going to be between 2 good teams. That's the Renegade team and Siafuri, the Furi team. That's both top teams, and they're both prepared to help with the car.
Sure.
So you won't be going wrong. And I tell you what, if you can end up in the top, even 15, if you can qualify in the top 15, you're a winner. I'm telling you, you're a winner.
Okay, that'll be my goal then. Top 15.
Top 15.
Top 15.
Top 10.
Let's
would
take
be
away the
really-
5. Let's take away the 5.
Top 10. That will be what status? Not a gold, platinum status.
Sure.
If
Sure.
you can get in the even number 10, platinum status for you.
100%.
Let's show Jonathan the car bit.
Let's go.
Alright, so this is the car you're going to be racing, Jonathan.
So what is this? Fiberglass?
It's a full fiberglass car.
Yeah.
Full fiberglass. It's a steel chassis.
Yeah.
They specially built. They call it a space frame. It doesn't go to space. It's called a space frame.
But they fly.
And Yeah.
And
Yes.
what does it weigh? I mean,
It weighs 800 kilos.
800
The
kilos.
doors just clip off. It weighs 800 kilos. We're hoping to put about 250 horsepower on the wheels.
That's plenty of juice.
Step inside.
Plenty of juice. How do you, like, is there a, do you just...
You fall in. You fall in.
First impressions, it's very low.
This is very low.
Extreme. This is you on the floor.
So at least you can't fall to nowhere. Normally if you fall to the floor. You can't fall to nowhere.
Yeah. This is intense. This is.
Here's a steering wheel. You can clip it on. You know how that clip-on works?
Well, let's see.
And then you push it in, the button. There we go.
That's it.
There we go.
Ah. Sheesh. This is hectic. This is hectic. This is a very interesting office, I must say.
You don't have to be changing gears when you're driving. That's the nice part.
Yeah.
You go on, you take the first gear, second gear, you go to third gear.
And that's it.
That's it. Once
For
it's in
the
third,
rest of the
off you go. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't do anything further. It's just accelerate, brake, deaccelerate. There's no time to deaccelerate. It's brake and accelerate. That's what it is.
Wow. Okay. Now I'm excited to get stuck in, man, and obviously learn.
I'm
from
hoping
yourself.
to put you in August. I think it's, I'm not exactly sure the date, but it's in August, the middle of August. The world champion comes to South Africa and you'll be competing in that event.
Even more pressure, man. It's not. Come on.
So there's a whole British team that comes with their world champion. He gets one of the good cars there and he competes and you'll be competing.
It's gonna be a good day, man. It's gonna be a good day.
I think it's gonna be such a big historical moment.
Can we go get some bread and milk quickly, or is that?